Learn more about fun local events and interesting people throughout the heart of Middle Tennessee, with a dash of everyday tech talk thrown in for good measure. The Local Click starts now.
Welcome to the November edition of The Local Click. The Local Click is the podcast brought to you by DTC Communications, where we talk everything technology and local people and how technology influences their everyday lives. With me, as always, is my cohort, Justin Malden. Justin, appreciate you being back today.
Hey, always enjoyable to get together with you and our guests and our experts, and to be able to bring this to our members and the various people of our community.
Mm-hmm. It is the time of year that the fall leaves have really started changing colors. November is the month of Thanksgiving, so it's just one of my favorite times of the year in general. I'm sure it probably is for you and your family as well. So,
oh, absolutely. Listen, when we were driving into Woodbury this morning as we were preparing for this, couldn't help but notice the leaves changing and that beautiful drive that we had. And it is that time of the year.
We will have Justin's Tech Tips, and we'll also have him bring us his Tech News Roundup. We'll have the Ask the Experts segment where Mr. Jared Bradshaw will return. And then to round up the last part of the show, we'll have the What's Up DTC segment where I basically kind of go through our community calendar of events, the different places that DTC will be. We have two great interviews for this month lined up. We'll be talking with Miss Tabitha Smith from Community Wellness Clinic here in Woodbury. And coming up right now as part of the program, we will have our first interview, and that's with Chris Hale from Alexandria Auto Parts. So we always appreciate you joining us each and every month on The Local Click, and we're going to get started right now. Today's guest on The Local Click is someone I've known for a very long time. In fact, we kind of grew up together in the Liberty, Alexandria area, if you will, and this guy knows all there is to know basically about cars and trucks, and if he doesn't know it, you probably don't need to know it either. But anyway, this is Mr. Chris Hale with Alexandria Auto Parts. Chris, thanks for coming to Woodbury, being with us. It's always a pleasure to get to talk with people that you know and friends of yours, you know, and right. And some of these questions, it's going to be kind of weird for me because I may know the answer because I've known you for so long. Right. But everyone watching or listening may not. So, but we'll go ahead and kind of share your story and some of your experiences, and I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it. But first, even though, again, I know where you're from and kind of hinted to it just a minute ago, but tell everybody where you grew up and some of your history. Okay.
I grew up in Alexandria. I've never lived anywhere else. If I have my way, I never will live anywhere else. I've live in Alexandria, work in Alexandria, and worship in Alexandria. Everything. I'm Alexandria through and through. So that's pretty well where I'm at and where I want to be. You know, fortunate the last 23 or so years been able to work in Alexandria also. So
which is unusual in a way because a lot of people that grow up in a town the size of Alexandria don't get to stay there right. when it comes time to enter the workforce just because the quantity of jobs is a little bit less, that kind of thing. So what made you interested in automotive repair and things of that nature?
Well, I grew up watching my grandfathers, both my grandfathers and my dad. They farmed, not full-time, but, you know, on the side they farmed, raised tobacco and cattle. And I enjoyed that, helping them with that. And farming and mechanics go hand in hand. I've never met a farmer that wasn't somewhat of a mechanic. So just the day-to-day hooking up equipment and maintaining equipment and stuff kind of got me interested in that type of thing. So I think that's the reason I went that way.
I know you have a lot of OJT, on-the-job training, when it comes to this sort of thing, but did you also then go to school or have any kind of a formal training on automotive?
After high school, I went to Nashville Auto Diesel College in Nashville. Went there, graduated there, got a good basic knowledge of how to read diagrams and do things like that. And then after that, I got a job at Walker Diesel Service in Cookeville, and that's where I learned most of what I know, both the good and the bad, I think. So, and then after that, went on to Smyrna and worked there for about 3 years, doing repair work on everything, tractors, equipment, and cars, trucks for a
you name it, basically.
For a factory, everything, tow motors,
Really?
With everything. Yep.
Now, that's probably a unique skill set because of the way the mechanics of a tow motor operate, right? Would that be like a propane-based?
Yes. I worked at Tracker Marine. They made Astro and Procraft boats. And I worked on everything they had. So their company vehicles, their tow motors that was used in the manufacturing process, the tractors that they used to move the equipment around, and their semi-trailers that they hauled the boats to the dealers.
So even
on.
the semis.
So,
Wow.
I worked on all of it, and it was a one-man show. So it was just me. So I maintained all that equipment there. And then even when I worked at Walker Diesel, we had contracts with Coca-Cola. So we worked on everything from their Astro vans all the way up to their semi-trucks and trailers.
A lot of people in automotive repair kind of seem to specialize in one aspect.
Yeah, and now you just about have to. You know, you're either a diesel guy or you're, maybe even just a Chevrolet or specific brand guy. You know, you're not necessarily a little
Right.
bit about all of it. But
Yeah. How did you make that transition from that part of the world, Middle Tennessee, back home to Alexandria?
me and Brad, my business partner, of course, went to school together all the way through school. And in one of his annuals, I actually wrote, I think it was maybe kindergarten or first grade, that we was going to take over his dad's parts store one day, you know, of course, not knowing that it would actually happen then, but we made those plans early on, and
Wow.
and was able to. Of course, after high school, he bought half his dad's business, and they worked together up until 2000. And then in 2000, I bought his dad's half, and we've been together ever since, and never looked back.
It's always great to see the heritage and history of a business that started local get to continue on, because so many don't make it after a certain length of time, especially when the original owner decides it's time for him to move on and
Right.
and do other things. So I know Brad very well, and I know you very well, but for the people that don't know, you did basically grow up together, right?
Yes. Of course, I knew him before school, and actually probably met Brad at the parts store. Probably with my dad or my granddad going to get a tractor tire repaired or something like that, and me going with them, and him being there because his dad run the shop, and, just being a kid there playing around. I actually remember me and him sitting at the cash register. They had an old cash register that was a push button type. I think the highest you could ring up was $9.99. And we'd sit there and push those buttons, try to get them all mashed down at the same time, So I believe that was probably before kindergarten. So we go back a long ways. Probably did meet at the parts store.
So the Alexandria Auto Parts is the name of the business, right? And you're right there off Brush Creek Highway.
Yep, 905 Brush Creek Highway.
You guys were once on High Street,
We
right?
were down on High Street. That's where Brad's dad was, and been there since sometime in the 60s. And then in 2013, we built a new building up on the highway.
So what kind of parts do you sell?
We're a Parts City parts store. We are serviced by Ozark Automotive. They're the same people that own O'Reilly Auto Parts. You'll see the same parts, the same brands in our store that you see in their store. The difference is that they are company-owned stores, and we are independently owned.
In this day of internet purchasing, where you can basically almost find anything online, especially like on Amazon or eBay and different things like that, how important is it to make sure when you're doing a repair that the parts that you're ordering and installing on your vehicle are actually quality parts?
A good quality part means everything, because that's good for both of us. It's good for the installer or the person selling the part, and it's good for the consumer that's using the part. So as painful as a car repair can be, it's a whole lot less painful if you don't have to do it twice. So
Right.
so it's very important that you install or sell a good quality part. And, of course, as a business person, we want them to be happy with the part, and you're not going to be happy with it if it fails.
And you don't want to get on the road and then have a breakdown, right?
Exactly.
The next week later, especially depending on where you're at. Sometimes that's not only inconvenient, but can even be dangerous depending on where you are. But you also do a ton of service, right?
We do. We do stay real busy in the shop, repairing cars and selling tires and stuff like that. But stay real busy. We're blessed with the people we got, the team we've got right now. We got Jeff Reynolds, Jeff Youngblood, Tim Baker. They bring so many years of experience to the table. It's just awesome. But even with all that experience, you have to keep up with the changes, with everything that's coming out and vehicle repair information through the internet. There's no paper manuals anymore. Everything's online, so it's very important to have, good speed and access to that stuff.
What kind of services specifically do you guys offer?
Well, we do everything from basic service work to tires, brakes, starters, alternators, and we do some engine swaps, engine repairs, transmission swaps, rear ends, pretty well all of it, depending on the make of the vehicle. How
has the industry changed as far as repair for cars and trucks over the years? I'm sure it's probably like everything else in the world. It's probably changed quite a bit.
I think, in my opinion, probably the last 20 years, we've seen the most changes as any time in history. And the options that are on cars, the radar, the self-driving, all the options that are on there have come a lot further in the last 23 years than they have in any other 20-year period before.
And that comes to my next question. How do you keep up with it?
There's pretty well three things involved in repairing a vehicle. One is the technician himself and the knowledge that he has. Two is the tools that he has, and not just hand tools, but electronic tools, scanners and things like that. But the third thing involved is the information. And like I said earlier, there's no paper manuals anymore, so it's so important to have access to the information. And we use programs through the internet that have our wiring diagrams that we use to repair vehicles. They also have component locations, component descriptions, system operations, so that all help us. Those three things all work together to help us repair a car. Having
access to reliable internet service is probably a big deal in your everyday business, right?
Yes. Without it, we'd lose one of those three tools that we use. I mean, we'd be down to just what we could remember, right, and the tools that we have on hand. That'd be it.
Right.
Without having wiring diagrams and those things available to us online, then it'd be a lot harder to repair a car.
And you probably also do a lot of behind the scenes work over online too, such as like ordering of parts.
Yeah,
and
all the ordering of parts
and
then just interchanging part numbers and looking at all the different things. Yes, definitely 100%. It'd be hard to do without it.
I know family's a big part of what you do, because every time I come in, I see one of your sons or one of Brad's sons, usually within close proximity, helping out from time to time.
Absolutely. Our boys, Brad's two boys, my three boys, they've all grew up at the parts store, getting off the bus at the parts store, playing, getting dirty and greasy, just kind of, we kind of might get busy and forget about them when they were small, when they get into something, but they actually grew up and helped all along the way, and as they got bigger, they done more. And, Brady, he's helped us quite a bit. A couple of weeks ago, we called him in because we so far behind. He had a couple of days. He come in and helped us out. He actually turned into a good mechanic. Levi, Brad's younger boy, he comes in and helped us out. We got my oldest boy, Cody. He's working for us full-time in a parts store now, and that's been a big help. My middle son, he's helped us all through high school. And my youngest son helps us out some, so it's been a big part. We couldn't have done it without them, to be honest with you. Even if sometimes they wanted to and sometimes they didn't. But
that's what family's all about,
exactly,
right?
Doing what you have to.
Exactly.
Not necessarily what you want to.
It's got to make you feel good, though, right? To see the next generation coming up and you passing down that skill to your children like that. That's, I don't know, that to me, that just seems like that would be very nice.
Those things are important. That's what matters.
Yeah. And I'm sure they get a lot of that critical thinking honest, because I'm sure it got passed right down to them. So it's probably not that big of a struggle for them to fall right into something.
They all hear about it from both of us. It's just as common to see Brad getting on to one of my boys or me getting on to one of his boys as it is vice versa.
And that's the way you want it, right?
That's the way we want it.
Yeah. One of the main parts of your business, and I say this as a consumer myself, having purchased many sets down there, is the tire industry and the tire business. Talk a little bit about what you guys offer there, and is it one of those things where you hold certain brands, you carry certain brands, or is it one of those things where you can usually get pretty much anything you want? Or
we've got a few brands that we keep in stock, and then some of our favorite tires, more or less, not necessarily one brand, but like we tend to like Firestone as far as 10-ply tires go, for truck tires and stuff like that. So we keep a lot of those in stock. Car tires, we may keep. We kind of keep our favorites. You know, what we want to recommend is what we kind of keep in stock. Stuff we've got, we know that works good and rides good and does those type of things. But we can get anything. Everything's available. Usually a day, maybe two, we can have anything.
How do I know when it's time for a set of tires? What's some telltale signs?
So there's two things I want to tell you about tires. That would be, number one, you need to know how old your tires are, and that is coated on the side of the tire. So anything over 10 years old, if you drive it daily, you need to think about replacing it. Other than that, there's a wear bar on the tire. All tires have a wear bar cast into the tread. And when you get to that wear bar, it's time to replace it. You will not tread water, and especially in the wet roads and stuff like that, that you need to replace it. The other thing I would tell you, when you do replace your tires, you do find out that they're either old or they're wore out, is that you need to put the right kind of tire on your car. You know, tires are very specific to the vehicle nowadays, and there's SUV tires, there's truck tires, there's passenger car tires, and sometimes, you know, if your truck supposed to have 10-ply tires on it, put 10-ply tires back on it. You know, don't cheap out with a 6-ply, you know, and then it's not going to perform, and then when you put a load on it and you bust a tire, it's, you know.
Which is a big safety issue, right?
A big deal, big deal. You know, I recommend putting the type tire for the type vehicle.
And then to make that investment last longer on tires or just vehicles in general, are there some tips that you might give us that can maybe save us some money down the road by doing some preventive maintenance tips?
Yeah, for sure. You know, we talked about all the advancements that's been made in vehicles, you know, and you know, up to 8 computers or 8 or more computers on a vehicle, you know, with all the different things. But it still comes back to the basic thing that I don't see people do, and they don't check their oil. You know, believe it or not, these cars nowadays, even the new cars, still use oil, some more than others. And you need to change your oil on a regular basis, and you need to check your oil in between oil changes, and your car will last a lot better. And I'd also add to that you would use the proper oil. You know, a lot of people said, well, my granddaddy used Rotella T and everything. And, you know, that was all right.
At the time, that was okay.
That was okay.
Right? Yeah.
But now there's vehicle-specific oils that need to be used, and for everything to work properly.
It seems like the engine oil weight or the thickness or viscosity or however you want to say it, I'm not a mechanic, so I'm really going to show what I don't know when I try to say some of these terms. But it seems like that has changed a lot over the years, hasn't it?
It has changed a lot. You know, it kind of went in a trend where it was thicker, higher viscosity oils to now it's lower viscosity oils. And there's things like variable valve timing that work off oil pressure, and these orifices that this oil flows through to activate these solenoids and things are critical to the weight of the oil. So you don't want to change that. If it calls for 0.20 but it looks too thin to you, and I don't want to pour that in my car, you better pour it in there.
Yeah,
because that's what it needs to operate.
So basically, just trust the manufacturer on those things.
Absolutely.
Yeah. As far as changing gears a little bit, as long as you guys have been in business, and I know the sense of humor that you both have, including Brad. He's a character. If you know Brad, you know I'm telling you the truth on that. Do you have any funny stories maybe through the years?
Working under a dash and you find a snake skin, and you just wonder, so the whole time, you know, you're folded up under a dash and you're just wondering,
where's the rest of that
where's
snake?
the rest of him? Or is he still in here? So stuff like that, you know. And of course, if we know one of our guys has got something like it going on, we want to prod him a little bit, you know, and say, hey, you better look out.
I'm sure you guys never pick on each other, right?
No.
People that are interested in your business and maybe want to make an appointment, what are your hours and how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, give us a call. We are 615-529-2580. I always say straight down the middle.
That's easy to remember. That's
2580, straight down the middle. But we're there Monday through Friday, 7:30 to 6, and Saturday, 7:30 to 2. Give us a call. We'll make you an appointment. Of course, if you have a flat tire or something, just come on in. We'll try to take care of that right away. But as far as repair work and other things, we schedule those.
Right.
So.
Well, Chris, we appreciate you being on the Local Click today and being a DTC business customer as well for
we appreciate
a very long
everything
time.
that y'all have done for us, and you know, the cameras that we have that we can look at that y'all put in for us. So our security, our internet, all of that has just been great. Great.
Well, we appreciate you, and not only as a customer, but as a friend, and me personally for keeping all of my vehicles on the road. I've got stories that we could be here a while. The same things they've fixed, including rodents and other things. We've got some tales, don't we?
Yeah.
But they do absolutely fantastic work, and I couldn't recommend them any higher. So if you need anything done and you're in that part of the world in Alexandria, make sure you stop by and say hello, and they'll take great care of you. So we're going to take a small break, and we'll be back with more of the Local Click right after this.
Here's normal internet speed. Here's the gig difference. Average speed, gig. Not enough speed, gig speed. With gig internet from DTC, everything's different. Video streaming is a breeze. Music and photos fly. And gaming gets real. With no data limits. That's the gig difference. Call or visit DTC online and get your gig today.
Glad to start this segment as we do each and every second segment of the show, and that's with Justin Malden as he brings us Justin's Tech Tips.
In today's world, digital assets are so valuable. Data is so valuable. And it's valuable for individuals and it's valuable for businesses alike.
Right.
It affects, it doesn't matter what space you're in. If you're in the consumer space or the professional space, it matters. And so today, because of that, that's why we're going to talk about a critical aspect that everybody should have in their technology lives, and that's data backup. And I don't think that its importance can be understated. You know, you think recently I had a friend of mine who was out fishing here locally. He's out fishing. He pulls his phone out. I don't know if he was taking a picture, doing a video, making a phone call, messaging, whatever, but the phone slipped out of his hand. You know where that phone ended up at?
I can imagine.
It ended up in the bottom of the lake, right? And so he had lost that phone. He wasn't able to recover it. And imagine in an instant, if you lose all your precious photos, you lose your vital documents, maybe you lose critical business assets and critical business files all in one instance because you've got them on one device or on one hard drive. Now, that sounds like a nightmare scenario, and it sounds like it's pretty daunting. There are services out there where they can try to help you recover things if a drive is corrupted, and there's various reasons why you may lose data, why data may be corrupted. It may be due to a hardware failure. It may be due to software corruption. It may be due to an accidental deletion. Oh, I didn't mean to delete that. How do I get that back? It may be due through you drop your phone in the lake, or it may be due to some of the things we talked about, ransomware and malicious actors. Right. That's their job, is to get in there and to make life difficult and to take this information that is so critical. It's very important to have multiple copies of your data for that reason and to have a robust backup plan. So ideally, you would think of data backup as an insurance policy. Right? You buy insurance, you know you need it, but you don't ever want to use it. Your hope isn't to use your insurance policy, right? But if disaster strikes, you're going to be glad that you had it. And so it helps provide peace of mind knowing that you have a backup. And so what can you do to ensure that you have a backup? Well, most individuals have smart devices, whether it's an iPhone, an Android phone. You may have a personal computer that is Windows-based or Apple-based. Every single one of those offers a backup solution. Mm-hmm. Microsoft has OneDrive, Apple has iCloud, Google has Google Drive, and it may cost you a little bit to back those up. Through those services, there's other services such as Dropbox and other things as well that will allow you to back up. Or you can go out and you can get an external hard drive and plug that directly into your computer and back up to it as well. But don't just have one backup. As we were preparing for this, I told you the story of a religious group and a religious organization that does publications monthly.
Right.
Down in Alabama. They, a few years ago, had a natural disaster strike through a tornado, completely leveled their building and damaged all of their physical assets and their property. And they lost all of their physical data that they had on site. But thankfully, they had a backup solution. And so they were able to pick up right where they left off. They were able to use those backups and continue their work without having to worry about the data loss because they had a backup solution. And so they were prepared when that disaster struck, they were prepared. And that's what we can do. You can have peace of mind today. Invest in the time. You may have to invest some resources. You may have to invest some monetary resources in a comprehensive backup strategy.
Right.
But it's essential that you do it. We've got to protect our digital assets through backup, through proper security. We need to safeguard our memories. We need to safeguard important business documents and ensure for businesses, that's a continuity thing. If you you lose your data, what is your continuity plan for disaster recovery and to continue on? Because something that has happened in the past with businesses, especially small businesses, is if they have a ransomware attack or they suffer data loss, for the majority of those businesses, taking that kind of hit will do them in.
Yeah.
It will be so intensive to them that it keeps them from being able to continue on. So being proactive and taking the steps now can be very, very beneficial later. Secure your future, back up your data today.
Thanks, Justin. That's awesome. I appreciate that. That's something that affects literally everyone's. Now we have another guest with us on the Local Click for this month's show, and that would be Tabitha Smith with Community Wellness.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm well this morning.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Oh, yes. I was totally excited to be here.
And you're based in Woodbury, right?
Yes, sir. Yes,
okay.
sir.
And what's your address?
So we're on 89 Mears Drive. So I'm going to give you a little technical component to that. We are behind the Taco Bell and the Inn because a lot of people Google us and they end up in McMinnville at that Mears Drive. So definitely, we always tell people, don't Google us or Google a map, don't Apple Map us.
And you run into that a lot in lifetime. Sometimes you end up in a place you don't want to be. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So I understand you're a nurse practitioner. Is that right?
Yes, sir. I'm a family nurse practitioner. So my certification and specialty is family.
Okay.
So I treat all ages from birth to the elderly. Most recently, my oldest patient was 100 years old.
Oh, wow.
And so, and my newest patient is about 7 days old. So
that's exciting.
All ages.
So it kind of keeps things interesting, doesn't it? Because on a day-to-day basis, you're not really kind of pigeonholed into just seeing one type of patient.
Absolutely. It definitely keeps us on our toes because, you have to be familiar with the developmental stages and what can happen and, chronic illnesses of all age groups.
But that's really important, isn't it, in a small town to have someone that can treat so many different types of people, different ages and that sort of things.
Absolutely. So, I started my nursing career in Woodbury in 1997. And so I got to grow up as a nurse with lots of what we call old school medicine primary cares who did the same thing I did, treated, from birth to the elderly. And and I've seen the landscape of medicine changing away from primary care and people going directly to specialty and things like that.
Right.
And I've seen what happened in hospitals because of that. We had increased hospitalizations. People didn't have anybody they could go and see until the problem got too advanced. So when I decided I was going to be a nurse practitioner, I'm like, that's the kind of practice I want. I want them to come to me for whatever they need, whether it's a laceration, a cold, their hypertension, their diabetes.
Right.
So.
Now, did you know kind of your entire life that this was the kind of career path that you might choose one day, or did you just kind of fall into it? Really?
Absolutely
okay.
not. I was thinking about that, earlier on. When I was growing up, I was always going to be the lawyer. I always said I was going to be the lawyer. I don't know what that meant. I mean, it just looked great. I must have read that or seen it on TV. But and so when I got into college, I still didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I kind of had to pick a career path at some point. And I liked the sciences. I was excelled in sciences, and nursing kind of seemed to be a good fit. I needed to get out of college. Parents are only willing to let you be there for so long.
Right, I understand.
And so I picked nursing, and I'm glad I did.
I think it's always interesting to talk to people that are in the medical field because everybody's personality is not cut out for the kinds of things that you have to do every day and the kind of
Agreed.
things that you see. And, if the sight of blood bothers you, it's probably not career path for you,
Yeah,
right?
not
But
that.
things like that really never seemed to bother you growing up. I mean,
No. As a kid, I was, kind of fearless. I wasn't really scared of anything. Yeah. And so this fits really good, especially with nursing being so broad and, had experience in every facet of nursing out there until I, figured out what I really liked. And believe it or not, my two favorite areas to practice in was mental health and emergency medicine. And so those go hand in hand. What we do,
Sure.
that experience is carried over into my primary care practice. We treat a lot of mental health issues. So probably about 90% of the patients that we see, we're dealing with a mental health issue.
right.
And so that's carried over. And that's, as far as, even though I'm a certified family nurse practitioner, what I really love to do and I feel like I'm good at is mental health.
And that's a very important and often overlooked part of our health, isn't it?
Yeah. If you're not controlling your mental health, then that means you're probably not as motivated to control your diabetes or your hypertension.
Right. So how did you get started in Woodbury? Now, are you a native of this Middle Tennessee area?
I am not. I'm an implant.
Okay, but we welcome you, though.
Yes, absolutely. So I've been here since 93.
Okay.
Met my husband in Woodbury.
Okay.
Through a mutual friend. I'm originally from Southwest Louisiana.
Okay.
And we moved here. My parents brought us here back in the 80s. And I, via Murfreesboro, and then met my husband, who is from Woodbury. I moved to Woodbury. Once we started having children, I didn't want to leave. It was a great community. It was a great community, provided me with, to work in my profession. And then once I started getting to know the community members, it's just been phenomenal. I've taken care of multiple generations of families at this point, and it's just been a great experience.
Having a service like you provide in a small town is different than in a big city.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We can make it fit the community. Anytime you provide a service, whether it's healthcare, whether it's restaurant business or whatever, you have to fit your community. And so I think that my staff and our setting fits our community. Very relaxed, open. We're here to serve.
So who are some of the others that help you in the practice day to day?
Listen, I'm nothing without my staff. Nothing. And so I have a great staff. The majority of my staff are actually Cannon County residents. I have one that just lives right out of the county in Centertown. But there's three of us nurse practitioners. Heather Melton, which is from Woodbury. She does all of our urgent care. So in our clinic, we have it set up where you have primary care, which I do.
Okay.
And Joey Lee Harris is our other nurse practitioner. Me and her do all the chronic management, wellnesses, things of that nature. And then we have Heather Melton, and she does all of our urgent care. So it's kind of like, you walk in and you're sick. You don't have to have an appointment. You're going to see Heather because that's what she loves to do.
Yeah.
And of course, I have Joey and Heather, which has been phenomenal additions. I have a great reception staff. They go out of their way to not only make the patient comfortable, but to help them navigate this difficult environment of insurance. And so I have Jennifer Richardson and Allison Jones, and they're both Woodbury, Cannon County girls. My nursing staff are all from Cannon County, Alicia Carr and Bethany Davenport. And they've both recently had babies. And so if you come to our clinic, you're going to see babies because we let them bring their babies to work. And then I have Paige Melton, who is a lifelong, long time resident of Cannon County. And then Shannon Brewer's our business office manager. You'll see her pop in and out. But if you have the problem, she's our problem solver. So, and then our lab tech, she's actually a Cannon County resident. Her name's Megan Mankin. And she's through LabCorp, but we got to choose who we put in that role. And so, that's really important to me to make sure that our residents have places to have a profession and to work and be close to home.
Right. And have that trust factor so that when you ask for those results, you know that you're getting the information back that you need in a timely manner and accurately.
And it's so nice that, being from Kennedy County, everybody knows your family. And like we know their family and we know who to ask about and things of that nature. That makes us different, I think, than being in a big city.
I agree.
Definitely.
So what are some of the common types of services that you provide to people in your business?
Sure. So as a nurse practitioner, we do all the same things as if you went to a physician's office or a physician's assistant's office. We are able to assess, we're able to treat any chronic disease, any urgent disease, things of that nature. We do a lot of preventative health. We really are big on, hey, let's see you when you're well and talk about things we can do to keep well. And that way, when we see you when you're sick, we have a baseline. We know there's truly something going on. So we do all of chronic care management for diabetes, hypertension, thyroid disorder. We do a lot of course, mental health management. In our urgent population, we see a lot of upper respiratory, whatever's going around the time, strep throat, bronchitis. We also do a lot of skin issues. We see a lot of skin things in urgent. And one of our things that we pride ourselves on, we do a lot of weight management. So as insurance are evolving and seeing that obesity and weight cause a lot of health issues, we've developed a program within our system.
That's great.
To be able to really focus in on weight and reducing weight and healthy ways to approach that.
Right.
We try not to do anything that's fad, but healthy forms to keep it for the long term, get the weight off and how to feel. So we see the gamut. If we find something that is beyond our scope of practice, meaning that you need a specialist, what we pride ourselves on is we really try to do a good, solid workup and get you to the specialist. So that way, by the time you get to them, you can get answers and not have to totally start the workup all together.
That is so important. I don't know how many times I've heard of people having issues, medical issues, and they don't know where to go next, right? They don't have that person basically kind of mentoring them or giving them the professional advice that they need on, I don't know what to do, who to see, where to go. So,
and I think that's where the landscape of medical care comes from. We got away from that primary care provider, that gatekeeper.
Right.
Because, again, we know what it should be, what the norms are, and we can help flesh out the abnormals and do the testing needed. And if it's something that a specialist is required, then absolutely we have those relationships all over Middle Tennessee that we work with our specialists.
Preventive issues as far as watching your health are very important. Benjamin Franklin once said, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So what are some tips that you might could give us?
Absolutely. I recommend to patients, and why I explain that it is so important to come see me once a year just for a good wellness checkup, is I need to teach you how to be your own advocate in your health. To say, hey, these are the things going on with me. Can you educate me about that? Or if something is wrong at the pharmacy or something arises that you are coming to see that person that you trust so we can discuss that, so we can help advocate for you. But we really try to teach our patients to be their own champions, to really ask the questions that they want to talk about.
Right.
A lot of people, believe it or not, use denial. If I don't pay attention to it, it's not going to be there. Well, that's not true.
Yeah. Ignoring it doesn't really change the outcome, right?
Yeah. I have people tell me all the time, listen, I didn't have these problems until I started seeing you. I'm like, yes, you did. Nobody called them what they were. You just didn't know it, right? That's right. Yeah. Nobody called them what they were. So
when we talk about chronic disease, do you help people with things like diabetes and other issues that may not be curable per se,
Sure.
but can have a great impact on how
Absolutely.
your quality of life is.
Absolutely.
With some of those things.
And I think, being from the nursing background, we are great educators.
Right.
And so one of the things we do is we educate on chronic diseases. And believe it or not, one of my favorite things to treat is diabetes. I didn't plan on that. It just happened to evolve to that.
Yeah.
And, we do come across patients that need a little more specialized care. And the great thing is we've got great specialty relationships that, maybe I don't need to send them. Maybe I just need to reach out to them and discuss it
Right.
and then offer the patient a different, regimen. But definitely we treat the diabetes. We treat hypertension is a big one, hypercholesterol, high cholesterol. That's a big problem in the Southeast, especially.
How much does stress really relate as far as hypertension and high blood pressure?
Sure.
Is that a big contributing
It is
factor
a big
to that?
contributor. So, stress causes inflammatory chemicals to be released from the brain into the body. And those inflammatory chemicals cause problems in the systems of the body. And stress causes a lot of issues. You've heard of people having extreme stress and they end up with a stomach ulcer because it changes the balance of the pH and the gut.
Mm-hmm.
So stress is a big problem.
Right.
And we definitely have to talk about that with our patients to say, let's make sure we're doing all the things that combat stress because everybody has stress.
Right.
And some stress is good, but when it's chronic and unremitting, meaning continuously, it's a terrible thing.
As far as switching gears for a second, I know you've been a DTC customer, a business customer for quite some time. In
Absolutely.
fact, we've even had you as an advertiser on
Yeah.
many of our local channel broadcasts,
Yeah.
and we appreciate that too. But maybe talk about for a moment some of the things that we help provide for your business.
So one of the most important things for me was internet service. And so because we're all electronic, everything, we try to not print paper, but, we still hadn't got away from that.
Right.
But to have a fast, reliable internet service that doesn't drop, signal, that we can always have our charting up to date. But listen, we've got the new telephone service. If I'm calling this right, it's the Sangoma telephone system. And that is probably about 3 months new with us. And that has been a game changer for us because listen, we can get 300 or 400 calls a day.
Oh my goodness.
Our
Wow.
phones ring continuously. And there is, other than having a dedicated operator to answer the phone, that's really hard to navigate.
Right.
And so it has been a lifesaver for us as far as three-way calling with our patients and pharmacies, three-way calling with patients and other providers. That way we
I haven't
can
really thought about that. That's a big deal.
that is a big deal.
Yeah.
Because the other side of that is you have to hang up with the patient. You have to call whoever you're calling. You have to work it out. Then you have to stop and call the patient back. That
Hope
takes
something
a lot
didn't
of
get
time.
lost in translation between all
Right.
those.
That takes a lot of time. So I've been very thrilled with the new system.
Awesome.
Definitely. So some of the other things, of course, we use the TV service and
Mm-hmm.
we advertise. And listen, I'm really looking forward to this because in the very near future, we're going to get you guys to make us another commercial. So I'm really excited about that. And then security. We use the security system.
That's a big issue
and it
today,
is,
too.
and of course on my building, not only is my clinic in that building, I have other businesses attached to my building. And so with the security system, especially for the fire alarm, and I didn't realize how important this was until the fire alarm went off in one of my other rental units, and it alerted me.
It notified you,
It
yeah.
notified me. And so that's a big deal. I recognize how important that was when that happens.
That's great.
So, yeah.
I'm glad that relationship exists and we're able to
Yeah.
help you guys in your business and hopefully make things a little bit easier in the hectic day-to-day part of what you do. So,
And the customer service, anytime we have to call for whatever, has been phenomenal. So
well, we appreciate that. If someone wants to get in touch with you, maybe they want to make an appointment, what should they
Sure.
do?
So you can call us at 615-563-7515. and call to request an appointment. We also have online appointment services if you're in our Hale system. So most of our patients have already been connected to our portal, our Hale system, and they can actually make digital appointments. They don't even have to call in the office. And so we're currently having our website restructured, and eventually you'll be able to go to our website, which will be TennesseeCommunityWellness.com, and you will be able to just click and make yourself an appointment digitally.
That's easy.
Absolutely.
You guys are really with the latest in technology.
We're really trying because we have a large working population, meaning people who get up and go to work. And so they don't have time to sit on the phone and things of that nature. So we really try to meet that demand and that need. So one of the other things I didn't failed to mention is that we use telehealth, telemedicine. And, thank gosh for a great wireless connection or connection to internet. Those work remarkably well. So it allows people to take a step back from work and do a quick telehealth visit, video visit, and not have to miss work.
That's amazing.
So, yeah.
Right in Woodbury.
You're right in Woodbury. Absolutely.
Don't take for granted these small towns, everyone.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely not.
Well, Tabitha, thank you so much for being with us today. I've really enjoyed getting to know more about your business, and we wish you the best of luck in all of your future endeavors.
Well, thank you, Nick. I appreciate being here.
Awesome. And we'll have you back on again sometime soon.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Everyone stay tuned. We've got more of The Local Click coming up after this.
You know that DTC provides great products and services to your home, and you can get the same great value for your business with DTC Business Solutions. Whether you're making sales over the phone or online to customers around the world, we deliver the reliable business solutions you need at a competitive price. And we do it all with uncompromising service. Let's talk about what matters to your business. Call DTC Business Solutions today.
We'll get to you in just a minute, Justin, with some of your tech news coming up. But first, let's ask the expert. Our very own expert, Jared's going to help us out with some more great information. So what do you have for us this month?
Today is all about connecting your router to your ONT.
Okay.
So ONT here is the black box. It'll have all various lights on it, and I'll actually do an episode about that here soon. But connecting them together, let's say you move into a house and the ONT's there, but the router's not, and you go pick this up from the office, from a phone store, come back. I'm going to show you how to connect those two together.
Great.
So with that being said, you're going to take and access your ONT in your house. Once you do that, you will take the Ethernet cord that is provided from the box and you will plug it into port 1. So on the back, you'll look, there's 4 ports on the back of the ONT. Once that's done,
and they're labeled, right? As far as which one
they're
is
labeled
which,
1 through 4.
Say. Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah. Port 1 is only for internet. 2 is usually dead. And then 3 and 4 is for TV.
Gotcha.
So, but if you have a TV installed, usually we come out there and hook that up for you.
It'll probably already have something. Yeah.
Absolutely. And on the back of your router, you'll have 4 yellow ports. We'll be looking away from those. Up underneath those, though, is a WAN port. It is white. You will take and plug in your other end of your Ethernet cord into that. Once that's done, give it 5 to 10 minutes and your router will come up solid green and you'll be able to use the internet. And if you don't know where to access your Wi-Fi name and password, check out the last podcast we made.
See, that's handy. These are starting to build upon each other, right?
Absolutely. Getting into the power part of the ONT. So if your ONT is unplugged and you have to get a power cord from the office as well, they take the power cord sometimes when people move out. Be very careful because these things have a bunch of different pins in them. It actually has a little arrow on top that shows you which direction to plug it into.
Oh, okay.
So when you plug it in, you just line it up perfect and it'll go in. If it feels forced, you're probably bending the pins and then your service isn't going to work. As far as that goes, that's plugging in the power cords. Now, when you want to reboot this equipment, try to reboot your power strip. So there's a little red switch right here on top, and you can take and flip it. So you'll see the light go off.
Yeah.
Then clip it back on, it'll come on.
So what you're saying is it's basically a better idea, if you can, to reboot your equipment by using the power strip's power button as opposed to trying to unplug the difficult
Absolutely.
plug. Not difficult, but, there's more possibilities of making a mistake on that multi-pin.
Absolutely. And when you
plug.
reboot your power strip, don't just go real quick, turn it off, count 10 to 15, just so you're not messing it up.
Gotcha.
Count to 10 or 15, then turn it on. Wait a minute, and all your service, that's like if you notice your service isn't working, can't connect to the router or anything like that, you can reboot that, and that's one of the instances.
I like it. That's a great information that you gave us. And, that's kind of one of the big troubleshooting tips in general when it comes to electronics, I think, is just never underestimate the power of a reboot, right?
Always reboot it.
Yeah.
Always.
Yep. Makes sense. So it's time now to talk about some more technology, and we're going to bring Justin in for his monthly segment that we call Tech News Roundup. And so I know you've been scouring the information online to give us some good information. So what do you have for us today?
So sometimes we don't think about often. We may think of devices, but we don't think about the components of those devices. And so these first two things have to deal with some of the components within your device. So the first thing is Intel recently just launched their newest lineup of Intel 14th generation chips, or what they're calling their Raptor Lake refresh. And so what a lot of people don't realize is these things are refined. These microprocessors are refined over and over and over. They get smaller and smaller and smaller and more powerful. And every time they have a refresh, that's a benefit to everyone. So when you go to buy a new device, when you go to buy a new computer, when they have these refreshes, you're going to be getting more bang for your buck, and you're going to be getting more performance out of it. And so Intel just recently released their newest refresh. It's an incremental update this time. They're looking at their next refresh to be more of an efficiency and power bump. And the microprocessor space is getting highly competitive. And it's getting highly competitive for the reason of our phones are super powerful. Our computers are super powerful. The equipment that we're using here that's processing this podcast is super powerful. When we talk with Alexandria Auto Parts and he's talking about the computer chips that are in vehicles now, right?
Right.
It affects everything. And so that's a huge benefit when you see these increases come out and you see more power. Shifting, though, and continue to talk about it, one thing that happened during COVID that became an issue was chip shortages.
That's right. That's not been that long ago.
And manufacturing, even in the auto sector, if you recall, the Smyrna Nissan plant just up the road from us, it shut down because of chips, right? Not because they didn't have the labor or anything, but they did not have the microchips. So Micron is the only U.S.-based random access memory manufacturer that is a major player in the global production of those chips. And they have announced a $15 billion investment in Boise, Idaho, to bring manufacturing domestically. All their manufacturing right now, even though they're a U.S.-based company, is done overseas, but they're going to bring that within the continuous United States and producing it here within the U.S., which is a big, big boom for us here because it puts chip production here. Intel does production here. Foxconn, who manufactures electronics such as Apple devices, has got a plant here now. And so when we see this happening, that means it's being done domestically, which means it's great for us because it can be cheaper from the shipping cost, and we don't have to worry about imports or anything like that. So that is probably going to be a huge advantage when it comes to these chip shortages because it's going to be the largest chip fab production facility in the United States. So that's huge. And then the third and final thing that I'm going to talk about, which I find pretty interesting, is Amazon is now testing new pharmacy drone deliveries in College Station, Texas. So drones.
Okay, you have to explain this one. I've got to hear this.
So drones are fascinating to people, and Amazon had to actually get a special exemption from the FAA to fly what's called beyond visual line of sight. That means when you're flying a commercial drone, you have to keep it within eyesight. You've got to be able to see it to control it, but you can get special waivers from the FAA. They've been granted that special waiver in College Station, Texas specifically, so that's home of Texas A&M, of the Aggies for SEC fans out there, where you can, through Amazon Pharmacy, at no additional cost to Amazon Prime members, get around 500 medications delivered to you by drone within 60 minutes of ordering it. So it's in a very, very small market that they're testing it in, but looking to the future, could y'all imagine what that may be like not just for medications, but all kinds of deliveries.
Right.
If we're able to get those instantaneously.
So basically,
just about.
almost anything that would fit within the weight class of the capabilities of the drone possibly could be coming.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's very interesting. Again, we're talking just medication here, so it's small. I'm interested to see when they finally do roll it out, how they're going to ensure, it's getting to the right place and compliance and the right people are getting it and those different things and the safety aspect of flying drones. But I think people are becoming more and more comfortable. It's not unusual to see a drone flying in the air nowadays like it was a few years ago. There's a huge hobbyist and recreational flyers out there in addition to professional flyers. So it's interesting to see the advancements in technology. Amazon, we think 2-day delivery is super duper fast. Well, you may be able to get a medication within 60 minutes here before too long.
I just, in the back of my head, all I can think about is, you're sitting outside on your porch and you hear this buzzing sound and you think it's a fly or a bug or something. You're swatting at it. No, it's your medicine on its way.
I was thinking food.
Food, yeah, absolutely. We're going to move on now to our segment that we call What's Up DTC, and I'm going to basically try to share with everyone all the great places and different things we'll be involved with at DTC, whether it be our film crew or just our employees setting up for different events and that sort of thing. So we'll go ahead and get started with that. We're going to start off our list of November events with the Smith County High School Career Day, and that will be on November the 15th. And then we have high school football playoffs. It's about that time. So those will be starting throughout the month of November. We'll have several announcements to be made soon at DTC3.tv. Most of those will probably be tape delayed just due to TSSAA restrictions with some of the agreements. So, but stay tuned for that. We'll have lots of information coming up in the following weeks on that. It's almost high school basketball time, so we'll be releasing our schedule for that coming up very soon, and you can check that out on DTC3.tv in the coming weeks. And then it's my favorite time of the year. It's Christmas parade time. That's where DTC likes to chase Santa Claus around every town in our service area, and we don't miss a Christmas parade. So I know if you guys like to go to the parades, you've probably seen us there many, many times. Definitely check on these dates locally before you go to them to make sure that these are still correct. But the first one will be the Carthage Christmas Parade. That's on November the 26th. The Woodbury Christmas Parade on December the 2nd. Smithville Christmas Parade will be on December the 2nd as well. And got a couple more on the same day. Gordonsville and Watertown, both on December the 2nd. So that's 4 on the same day. How Santa does that, I don't know. It must be Christmas magic, but somehow he makes it work. So, and then the following day we have 2 more. We've got the Liberty Christmas Parade and the Alexandria Christmas Parade. Both of those are on December the 3rd. So anyway, that's what we have coming up throughout the month of November and leading into December. I think previously in last month's episode, I may have fallen short on my offer to supply some donuts to the podcast. And I believe Jared may have even called me out, and appropriately so.
Yes, rightfully so.
Yeah. I mean, guilty as charged. So I took one for the team. Justin and I both did yesterday, and we made a little trip. And I have something right here. Hey, what do you think?
That's awesome.
Go ahead, smell.
You made my whole morning.
All right, and you know what? The real winner is you because you get the whole box.
Don't eat them all at once.
Because I bought 2 boxes.
Nick going above and beyond.
This is a bad day to be a donut.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, no doubt. So my advice to you is don't eat the entire box in one setting. Maybe, meet up with some friends, share them, or don't.
Or share them with us, and then we'll eat more later.
Or share them with us.
If I don't take my wife one, she'll be mad. So I got to save at least one.
Yeah. You will be in big trouble if you don't do that.
That's right.
So, but anyway, all joking aside, I hope you enjoy those. I hope everyone has a great Thanksgiving, and there's a lot to be thankful for. And I'm thankful that you watch our podcast and listen to us. And we will definitely see you with more fun and information next month as we grow closer to Christmas time. So As for the November edition of the Local Click, I'm Nick Noakes saying so long, and we'll see you next time.
Learn more about the show by visiting us online at thelocalclick.com. Also, be sure to subscribe to us on your favorite podcast or video platform so you won't miss our next episode of The Local Click. See you next month.